Hello everyone, welcome to another video. This is the Felfar Gaze channel where we discuss everything about demon hunters in World of Warcraft. Today I come to you with another commentary video of a Mythic Plus dungeon, a Halls of Infusion Plus 24. This key was going pretty smoothly until some things took a weird turn, leading up to a pretty stressful finale. You will see me using the Shattered Destiny build, which is primarily focused around single target damage and self-sustain. These aspects are extremely important for first and third boss, which are very stressful for most healers who struggle to survive. If you like the content, consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel. With no further ado, let's get into the video. At the beginning of the dungeon here, we're most likely preparing for a really big pull. It's tyrannical, so the mobs are not that scary, and the tank is gonna pull all three packs. There are a lot of things to stop here with stance and fear. We're gonna pop every button, like pot, the hand, meta, everything. So we go on the typical I-beam, inner demon, with essence break, death sweep, meta, death sweep, inner demon, I-beam and inner demon. In between I used the Sarkaret trinket. Now I've used fear and metamorphosis stun. Now I use another Chaos Nova and I'm out of stops. I don't have anything else. So I drop a darkness. That's a pretty good call here. We have no other stops. Maybe the priest has a fear and there are the bursting stacks coming and we want to wait for DMD. I health pot here as well. We dropped pretty low. I used Netherwalk. I was a little bit scared. Did not want to die at the first pull. And we did a pretty good job here. Cleaning up, we move on. Now I realize my damage meter is at a weird spot. And it's also monitoring damage taken instead of damage done. I did not realize that until later into the key. So here we do a single pull. We don't have any buttons. We popped absolutely everything last pull, so we need some time to recover. At least other classes a little bit more than me, because they do have lower cooldowns than Metamorphosis. Here I did not do a very well demonic window because I did not manage to fit a second death sweep inside the window, thus losing some DPS. But it doesn't really matter at this stage. It's all about speeding up the key. Do I send the I-beam here? I guess I do. Or do I save? I want to save for the next pack. No, I just keep dodging mechanics. It's a little bit weird here with the frontals and the entangling, moving back and forth. So I end up popping the I-beam a little bit late. This could be a mistake. I should have either sent it a little bit earlier or keep it for this next pack, because now I'm ending up delaying my essence break. I send Glaive Tempest and Blade Dance, but essence break is still off cooldown and I'm not using it. I use a fear here and I I-beam into the fear. That's good. That's 20% extra damage on I-beam. That's always a good thing to do. Here you see I managed to get the extra death sweep, which is correct. So when you're playing the Shattered Destiny build, one of the most important things is to get 2 death sweeps with every demonic window. So whether you have essence break or not, that's always possible. And you start with either death sweep or essence break, depending on what you're playing, or whether essence break is on cooldown or not. Here you see I do the I-beam into the death sweep. I did a Chaos Strike first, so I might not make it. Might not be able to get the second death sweep, but I managed. Here I wanted to save essence break, you might see, because we're getting into a big pull and I want to have my meta essence break combo. Here I realized I got hit by the frontal cleave and I took too much damage and I moved out and let my healer top me. He also used Lay on Hands, to his credit, to save me. So here, while saving essence break, I have everything for the next big pack and I can pop off. As we're approaching, I'm trying to decide what target I'm gonna focus. Here we got the apparatus. I have every button again. I got the demon and the opener, so I send the Glaive Tempest and the hand. before going into I-beam. Now here I used Vengeful Retreat to get out because I was scared that I might get hit by cleaves again and stuff. So yeah, you said pretty much everything here, and this is a really nice timing because you want to have every cooldown for the second phase of the first boss, the second half, let's say, and this is lining up pretty good for me here. You see I'm a little bit scared, I play a bit behind trying to avoid the cleaves. Beer is marked. So here nothing too special. When you can see these mobs channeling the frontal on the beer, you can stop them with imprison. So if you get an opportunity to do that, do that. Of course there is a lot of things to kick that you need to kick. Here there is no point stopping these channels. The priest must dispels, so that was a pretty good pull for me. Now I have nothing. You see, now I have a simple I-beam, so it's more likely that I will focus on CC. They are doing the channeling, I see the channeling, so I use the Chaos Nova to stop them. You see here, I use the Death Sweep at the very beginning of the pull, and I can easily pull off a second one, which means that even if I have to use Essence Break, the first button during demonic is Essence Break and the second one is Death Sweep, you still have time to get a second cast off every time. Of course that assumes that you don't really lose uptime. You spam Chaos Strike for the whole duration of the demonic window, and this will extend it long enough so that you can have 2 charges of Death Sweep. Here I see I save my I-beam and Essence Break. There is no point to use it on these dead mobs that are not threatening to the party at all. I keep them to open at the boss. Now I could use pot here. It's not the best idea because the second half of the boss is more challenging, let's say. It does more on more abilities and we wanna burn that part faster. If you don't know, this boss starts at 30%, and at 15% exactly, let's say at half his HP, he will do the transition, and then after the transition is over you do the remaining 15%. So this is how this boss plays out. You see meta here is coming on 30 seconds, so I get a good opportunity to use it in the second phase. Now we keep pumping the boss, we get the debuffs. The Shadow Priest will mass dispel, you need to anticipate that because you gotta move out immediately. This thing does a lot of damage and you don't wanna stay in it for too long. Here on the Spark Volley you don't need to make too large movements because this will fill up the place with bad stuff and you don't wanna do that. I dropped the darkness here, I realized the team was dropping, so I decided to assist. Not sure if it was the best idea. The healer still had wings. Here I delay popping that demon because I know that there might be some damage coming, but I end up using it anyway. So now going into my last I-beam combo before we enter the intermission. Boss is at 17%. You see here I managed to do the double Death Sweep. This is super important. We're getting dispelled. Tank is at, the boss is at 16%, and we're gonna transition. So now here you see I have my meta and I have Sarkar Trinket coming. So the best strategy would be to use an I-beam on these mobs combined with the Sarkar Trinket to burn them, and then use the rest on the boss. Here I did not end up making that choice. I used the meta on the ads, which I think is a mistake because I will now end up using the Sarkar Trinket on the boss, which is one target. I do less damage, I lose a lot of uptime here, and Bloodlust is coming. So yes, I will do damage to the boss. I lost a lot of uptime. Here I use Sarkar Trinket with the demon buff and initiative, so it does max damage to the boss. So I will be losing a lot of burst on the boss here, and that's not a good idea. So if I would play it backwards, I would use the Sarkar Trinket with one I-beam on the orbs and then use my meta with Essence Break combo on the boss directly the moment we pull it after the intermission. Here we get the Dispel along with the sparks on the ground. That's a little bit unfortunate. You see here I used Death Sweep to get back on the target. And now we're just popping whatever we have. We're in a little bit of a rough situation here. We don't have too much damage, we don't have too many cooldowns to survive. You see the team dropping, we almost die. You could wipe at this point. You know, see here, if I managed my cooldowns correctly, the boss would already be dead at this point. And I could have eliminated this risk of wiping. Here you see, although the boss is 3%, I pop my cooldowns to kill it, because 3% is not really 3% here, because the boss starts at 30%, so essentially 3% is 10% practically. We manage somehow, and we keep moving. This next part of the dungeon is not super dangerous. There are some annoying packs, but most of the time you are fine here, even on fortified weeks, and you try to pull mega big. At this stage we have these mobs here that we just need to make sure they do not transform. Here I should normally open with the hand and not with high beam, because here I send the hand and this slows down my fury generation process, and I will not be able to get a second death sweep inside this window. So this is a mistake again. I would normally have to hand before and then get into the I-beam. This is a good example of how you should spend your other abilities. When you want to go into I-beam, normally you want to have everything else on cooldown except Essence Break and Death Sweep, right? So ideally you have Glaive Tempest on cooldown, you have the hand on cooldown, and you just enter the I-beam and you press Death Sweep and Annihilation during Demonic and nothing else. Sometimes you cannot really control that because things keep rotating and some of them will come back during the Demonic window, but it is what it is. You need to try to control that. Here it's a little bit unfortunate that our enhancement summon gets targeted by the frogs. He reacts too slow and he dies. We did not miss too much time here, but every little mistake is piling up. Here I'm thinking whether I should use my meta. This pool is too small, so I decided not to. So you see I opened with Glaive Tempest and Sarkareth, and then I go into the Demonic window. This is a correct thing to do, you see. I was just spamming Annihilations and I spent enough Fury in order to get a second Death Sweep, so that is good. This hand was a little bit unnecessary. I could save it for the next pull because these things were dead. This next pull is not super scary either, but there are enough elites and some small targets to pad. So you see here I do Immolation Aura into Felras and then I go into meta. Let's say Demonic and Metamorphosis. I reset my I-beam and Death Sweep and stuff. The only bad thing was that Essence Break was on cooldown, so I did not double Death Sweep with Essence Break up, but it's not too big of a deal. So you see here we clean up, we move. Here I have a solid 20 seconds of I-beam going into this pool, so the damage will extend from that last pool. So that's a pretty good meta. I mean, we lost some value while traveling, but still it was a pretty good meta. Here you see that when I fell rushed in, I delayed for a little bit hitting with Essence with Death Sweep, because I can easily get aggro and die on the pool. We don't want that, so be a little bit reserved with your damage, just to make sure the tank is in control of the situation. These mobs don't do much, you just need to make sure you kick them or stun them so that they do not transform to their ultimate form. We don't want that, but that's all there is to them. These mini bosses are not too scary either. Here you see I delay the hand, because if I hand I would not be able to fit in the second Death Sweep within the Demonic window. I keep talking about it because it's super important. Fitting that second Death Sweep within Demonic can make a really big difference in your overall. Here you see everything is on your cooldown. I used the Essence Break and Death Sweep. I was a little bit late because I was trying to Vengeful Retreat. I did not realize that it was still on cooldown. Here I would have been able to get the second Death Sweep if I had a little bit better Fury generation. It is what it is. Like, don't be too afraid to spend Glaive Tempest during your I-beams, during the demonic windows, because they do spend Fury, they cost Fury, so they do extend demonic with Shattered Destiny. So it's not too bad, just make sure that Death Sweep is on cooldown, because you want to get it on cooldown as soon as possible to get the second one. Nothing too scary here. A small detail is that some of your spells are capped at 5 targets. Here, for example, the Sarkar Trinket was a really bad choice here. I should not have used it while all these small little mobs were up, because you split the damage between all of them. It's the same thing with Death Sweep and Glaive Tempest. Here you see I use them both on the boss, so the boss gets full damage. If we had another 4 targets, we would do full AoE to all of them. But now that we have small annoying targets popping, it's not the best idea to use Death Sweep, let's say, on them, or Glaive Tempest, because it splits the damage, and instead of doing damage to the boss, which is actually important, you are cleaving damage to these completely irrelevant targets. You want to hit those targets with things like Immolation Aura or Sigil of Flame, which do uncapped AoE damage, so they don't really impact your single target. You're just doing free damage. I-beam is a weird one. You don't lose too much single target, but you do lose some. Here you might see I was trying to put Glaive Tempest outside the small mobs in order to not hit them, so that the damage is not spread between the boss and them, because you just want damage on the boss here. Like, it's a tyrannical boss. The frog is not a super scary boss. It does do some overall damage to your group. Here, if I manage to get Death Sweep and Glaive Tempest on the boss, it would be good. Yeah, I do. Yeah. There are no more than 2-3 frogs around the boss, so I can do full single target damage to the boss. Do I Darkness at some point? I should here, because we are dropping low. Here I was super low. I melded, and the Paladin Leon hunts me. I was at 7%. This was a super close situation, but yeah, we managed. I keep hitting the boss. You see now I managed to barely squeeze in that Death Sweep for that little extra damage. That's all you're trying to do with this build, really. Let's say you try to enter I-beam as soon, as often as possible, and you keep sending damage, trying to do double Death Sweep. That's all you do, really. Here you see I try to avoid the frogs again. I don't send the Glaive Tempest. When they're dead, now I send the Glaive Tempest. Nobody went in, so the boss goes into frenzy. I think this will force my hand to send the Sarkar Trinket. Yeah, perhaps I should have sent it already, because the boss has the extra damage. Here I know there's a lot of damage coming. I nether walk, and I first aid even. That's a little bit tryhard TBC stuff. If you have been playing the Burning Crusade or you play Glow Classic, bandage is a very typical thing to do. Back then it's not super effective at the moment, but I still use it. It's a little bit of damage. Probably I did not realize that I had the trinket. At this stage it was completely useless that I used it. I should have used it way earlier. We've done a lot of percentage already, and now we want to navigate these dragons to avoid most of these pacts to move to the next boss. Here you will see on the left there are some mobs with a Mind Soothe that's expiring. Our priest did not notice, he got aggro and he died. I stood here, yeah, the shaman died as well. I used the Shadow Melt to drop combat, and here our Paladin was super quick to dispel and freedom the debuffs of the dragon from both of us. This cost us some time and was a little bit unfortunate. I asked whether we need an invisibility potion. They said no, we can just skip everything with Mind Soothe. We get the res, we get opt, we Mind Soothe again, and we keep moving. This is a demonstration of how overpowered Mind Soothe is. You can really cherry pick the mobs you want and you don't want to do. You just soothe everything and you walk around it like there's no problem at all. There is no cooldown to that ability. It's like 10 seconds in comparison to, let's say, a rogue shroud. But yeah, here I have meta. I'm not gonna send it because I know the worst boss in the dungeon is coming. I mean, at least I shouldn't. I don't remember if I did, but I suspect I did not. Now this is a kind of annoying pull because you want to be in the middle of the mobs, cleaving all of them, but it's not always possible due to the AoE that these torrent mobs do on the ground, and there's two of them, so you are constantly forced a little bit out of melee range, and then there is the frontal of the dragon. Still, it's on tyrannical, so this pack is not as scary as it could. Our priest is doing his job of dispelling the dots of the dragon. Here I don't manage to get a second death sweep because I'm forced away of melee range. I don't have uptime, I cannot extend my meta, and I lose the second charge. But it's okay, like we manage this pool. This is an annoying pool. We don't want to use cooldowns. We want to send everything to this boss. So I see from my part I have DPS potion, Sarkar trinket, everything. So I'm at a pretty good stage at this point. So I send Sarkar trinket and then I do the DPS trinket. I do the Essence Break combo with double death sweep. I was a little bit scared regarding the cyclone that's coming because it could be the case that I am caught mid-air while casting Metamorphosis and the cyclone is on me, so you wanna watch the timing on that. Like other than that, you keep sending everything on cooldown. I know she's gonna cast a Glacial Surge. I managed to ferro us in and use my Unbound Chaos Charge that was like at 1 second left. Here I get a second demon. That's pretty fortunate because I'm still within my Metamorphosis window and I get a full value out of this demon. Here I do the Essence Break. I managed to get the Death Sweep off, which is good. I Darkness behind here. Yeah, there's nothing too specific. You just need to make sure you bait cyclones away from the crystals, because if one cyclone spawns on you and it destroys a crystal, it's a wipe on the spot. Everyone dies. So if you see here, I'm looking behind my back because I want to make sure if she sends this cyclone on me, I want to make sure that I stand in a position that will not break a rock and wipe the group. So you might see me do that every now and then to make sure I'm safe. By the way, these rocks are not line of sight, so you can I-beam through them like I did here. I barely get the death sweep here. You see, it's this this try-hard approach of trying to get the second death sweep all the time. Here is the unlucky part: our summon disconnects. At the worst part of the dungeon, one of the 3 DPS disconnects. That's very unfortunate. But the paladin is super good and he keeps pumping and pumping and pumping. We try to help with our defensives because this is gonna extend the fight. And he has to keep it up for longer than normal because we are 1 DPS down. Here we notice that he comes back. He lost a good of 30-40 seconds of damage, maybe. Now you see I was looking behind my back for the cyclone. I did not want to cast I-beam up until now because I was not sure whether the cyclone will break a boulder and whether it will be targeted on me. So I'm casting I-beam and I'm caught with the cyclone mid-air. Here also I was not super sure whether we were sitting on the correct ice block because I could not see the line, and I popped netherwork just in case. But it wouldn't really matter because if we were standing on the wrong stone, we would all be dead and I would be alone with netherwork. Still, it was like a reaction. Here you see the boss was on 2%. Of course, I saved my meta. There's no point using it. We either kill the boss or we don't. I need the meta for the next pull. Here we come to the so-called gauntlet of Halls of Infusion. Everybody hates this part, I think, this constant dance with the waves that are coming towards you. Even though it's tyrannical and these mobs are not that scary, yeah man, this place is scary. There's a lot of area denial all the time. These torrents do their earth shatter thingy. The waves keep coming. There's the frontals from the dragons. Now the dragon is doing his thing. I'm trying to avoid the breath and the torrent earth shatter and the waves. You know how it goes. But I managed to send my cooldowns here semi decently. I popped most of the buttons in correct order. Maybe I delayed I-beam or glaive tempest a little bit. Here I get clipped by oceanic breath. I blurred, so I survived by accident. The salmon got killed. I had aggro on something and went back and used my shadow melt. Here I'm saving damage or not. I decide, I decide the timer is too tight. I just gonna send it. Yeah. This pack was no longer scary for us, but the timer is super tight, so I decided at this point I have to send everything on cooldown, no matter what. Yeah. We have 8.5 minutes. It might seem like it's okay, but the last boss takes too much time because you keep getting teleported back and forth, and that costs so much time. We have been doing a pretty good job with positioning here. Here I realize I can fit in the essence break at the end of my demonic window, so I pop it on cooldown and I don't delay it. That's super good, because other than that I would have to wait for the next I-beam and that would delay essence break by a lot. Here I get a demon. I hunt this lovely lady. Do I send the Sarkar trinket? I should. Yeah, I do with initiative, and I fit the death sweep in as well. So you see, if you are not doing a demonic window with essence break, you are pretty chilling. You can get the second death sweep pretty easily because you have one less global, the global of essence break, that is not spent, and death sweep is pressed one global earlier, so it's way easier to get it off. On the contrary, here with the essence break, you see I'm very tight. At the very end I get the last death sweep. Here I break the demon. I could hold it for this AoE cast and pop it right now to top myself back up. It's okay. The good thing is we managed overall. Like, this is a scary part. Nobody died to waves. The salmon died to the frontal. I get clipped by the frontal for a split second. I was really lucky. And we're getting into the boss with 6.5 minutes. I was confident when we were here, but it turned out that this is not too much time for this boss. We see still here we don't have hero, but we will have it later on in the fight. So I pop my DPS potion here, thinking this is a 5-minute cooldown. The fight is gonna last 6 minutes, so I can get a second one. So this was a good call. Here I get forced out of melee range. I was very tight. If you noticed, I got almost clipped by these balls. but I survived. I did not play it super good. I could be in melee range a little bit more. I was very, very scared. And I wanted to play it super safe. Here you notice some things will not go the way I would like them to. Here I see the boss is almost max HP, so I send the essence break before it teleports us to the platforms. That was a good call. I got an extra essence break, which is now cooling down, and will be ready when we get back to the main platform. Nothing too special here. Like always, you know, I try to play safe, a little bit too safe most of the time. I mean, this could be one of the criticism to me. Yeah, this was not so safe. But yeah, most of the time I try to play it so safe, so I might be missing at some DPS. Here you cage the mob in order to stop it from giving energy to the boss, but you don't pull it at the same time. I've come to realize that it's better to try to save cooldowns when you're at this phase, to use them on the boss, because you want to really prevent the boss from doing an extra intermission. So I would normally maybe send an I-beam at the very first two mobs, and I know that this I-beam is back when the boss spawns. Now here I have a demon, which is super good. I send a trinket with initiative and the 20% demon buff and my combo, so this is good. This is a really good opener. If I could do something a little bit better, would be maybe to do the Glaive Tempest before the I-beam. But yeah, small detail. Here he will knock back the tank. It's not yet. Yeah, it does the tank knockback, and the tank needs to taunt back fast. Here he was a little bit late, and the boss one-shot the enhancement summon, who was in melee range, and he was doing more DPS than I did, so he was first in the threat meters. You see, here we keep getting a lot of damage. I keep going out of melee range to be safe. Here I realized again the boss is transitioning, so I sent the essence break even though I had no I-beam. That's also a good call, and it might be an important one, as you will see soon enough. So you see, things are not going too great. We've pushed the boss a little bit. We have Bloodlust now, and we have 3 minutes. It's getting tight. It looked super cool at the beginning, you know, 6.5 minutes and stuff, but it's not so cool. Yeah, here I send I-beam. This is a good I-beam because I will have it back for boss. One cast goes through. That's super bad. I send the hand. I don't think I should have done that, but yeah, I will get another cast anyway. So now, you know, I'm holding cooldowns, I'm trying to get another cast goes off. That's pretty bad. I could have feared that. I did not expect that nobody had anything. I dropped the fear late. Yeah, and we get into phase 1 again. Bosses are 40%, we have every button. I send the essence break, really good here with Glaive Tempest in advance. Okay. Everything is on point, I would say. I managed to stay in melee range. And the same thing happens a second time. So that's super unfortunate. Like, enhancement summon dies again. Here I send the trinket. I could have waited for a demon. Yeah, it spawned 1 second later, which was weird. And now you see, boss is at 12%, I'm sending the second essence break, and it's not gonna happen. You see, it's so close, it's not gonna happen. It sends us in another intermission. Now I'm shaking. At this stage I'm shaking. 1 minute to do the intermission and kill the boss, and I'm like, God, come on. We had the disconnects, someone died twice, and we're at this state. And I realized, damn, I have netherwork. I can just netherwork and just run through everything. I don't care. I need to do everything as fast as possible. I was panicking at this stage. I send the hand, I send the I-beam. I'm not thinking. I'm just trying to kill everything as fast as possible. I'm saying we still have time, we still have time. I sent an essence break. That was super inefficient because if I waited, I could do a triple I-beam essence break and save us way more time. But it is what it is. There's one mob still, the tank pulls it, he realizes we are in deep shit, so there's nothing to wait here. I hope someone has something to press. I send the I-beam. I have a DPS spot, I should have been using it, I did not. Here I send the Glaive Tempest, I realized I can cleave the boss just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. I send the DPS spot now. And the timer is very tight, like 2, 1, and we made it. Like, so many things went wrong. I was super excited at the end, and we managed. That's the important part. If you are still here, thanks a lot for watching to the end. As you can see, there are a lot of good and bad plays that you can learn from, and I can learn from my mistakes too. If you liked the video, smash that like button, consider subscribing to the channel and comment down what other things you might want to see. I will be covering the rest of the dungeons of Season 2, and then I will be moving on with some different ideas. So once again, thanks a lot for watching, and see you in the next one.